I'd love to start with maybe the concept of gratitude and of contribution. Our work matters and being seen. I think both of those are really intrinsic human experiences when they're delivered well, when you feel seen and acknowledged and respected. What is it in your belief system that says like that's so much more important than maybe the external validation or the extrinsic motivation?
Yeah, I think they're both important. I think people appreciate, that celebration with their team or, being called out for getting the patent or hitting your sales goals and so on. I do think though that those are events. And while you look forward to those and they're important and they're memorable, it's the day to day that really makes a difference, right? That little affirmation every day, that one kind act a day kind of thing. I'm a big fan of random acts of kindness, just checking in with people, hey, let me take you to lunch. How's the family doing? That people know that you care. I think one of the big pieces of creating a great culture and creating a great relationship on your teams and as a leader is a wonderful concept that we explored in our book Leading with Gratitude, right? And it talks about assuming positive intent. I know that's one of your principles as well. And I think that is just such a lovely way to put people's mind at ease. That, I always say, look, I don't think there are too many people in the world that wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to really screw up 3 times today. My goal is to really make people around me miserable, right? People come to work and they want to do a good job. And in trying to do a good job, they're going to make mistakes, right? So you assume the positive intent that they're trying hard. And when you make mistakes, that's okay. We can fix mistakes and we can use them as learning moments. One of my favorite leaders on the planet is a guy named Gary Ridge. He just recently retired as the CEO of WD-40. I'm sure you've got a can of WD-40 somewhere in your house, right? And he says, we don't make mistakes at WD-40. We have learning moments. In fact, the name WD-40 stands for water displacement 40th formula. So there were 39 formulas that didn't work. And they said, were those mistakes? So they were learning moments. And so when you've got that built right into the name of your company, right? Anxiety comes down, relationships go up, right? And you're not afraid when you're trying hard, if something goes wrong, that your job's going to be in jeopardy or you're not going to get a raise or a bonus or a promotion.
Yeah.
So that concept, I think, in building a great culture, if you've got a culture of celebration and gratitude, and layered on top of that is this idea that we're going to assume positive intent about people. When somebody shows up late, we're going to assume that they were trying hard to get to work on time. Something happened, right? And so on and so on and so on. Creates really great relationships and leading with gratitude, an all-in culture. Those were elements that we explored that we really found were very effective.
Yeah, and you started with that book 15 books ago, and the way you explain it, I mean, it resonates, but it actually does sound quite simple. And so I'm curious, 15 books later, we still hear about toxic workplaces and psychological safety or the lack of it. What's your gauge on like leaders' progression, organizations' progression over that time, and why are we still facing challenges with corporate culture today?
Yeah, it's a little discouraging, isn't it, Neil? We've got all this research, we've got all these great stories, we've got all these wonderful companies that over deliver, in their categories and so on, and yet, right, there are still all these toxic managers and so on. I'm a little conflicted because the fact that there still are lots of toxic managers out there provides great work for me. So
Right.
my services are in need. Um, you mentioned something that it's a simple concept, and it is. Be kind. There's nothing more simple than that, right? A good friend of mine who's become a great mentor, Marshall Goldsmith, taught me the great Buddha's philosophy on the 3 doors. I don't know if you've heard this before, but every word that goes through your mouth should go through 3 doors. The first one, is it true? Truth is always a good place to start, right? Second, is it necessary? I find this really a good thing for leaders. It might be true, it might not be necessary, right? The third is it kind? And I love that, if leaders can just learn the power of the pause, right? Something happens, just take a pause and think to yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? It's a simple concept. It's hard to implement. And for all the reasons that you already know, right? We've got crushing deadlines. We've got to get stuff done. Um, I would love to spend time with you and hear all about, your daughter's, football match or soccer match, whatever. We got to get it done, and the fact that you showed up half an hour late isn't helping, right? So we have those pressures that take us away from the leaders that we'd really like to be. So I'm a big fan of tokens and rituals, right? How you start your day, how you end your day, how you engage with your team. And if you can build those rituals into your culture, and they don't take a long time. It is a discipline, though. I always love to say, it's common sense, uncommonly practiced,
Right.
right? So, as much as you can build in these simple symbols and rituals, I think is really helpful in getting leaders there. Because again, I don't think those toxic managers out there set a goal when they got promoted that said, you know what? When it comes to toxic, when you look it up in the dictionary, I want my picture there. They want to be better. So how can we help them be the kind of leaders they want to be?
Hey, if you're getting value from today's conversation, make sure you subscribe right now so you don't miss any future episodes of the Aspire to Inspire podcast.